Hello Leo, radiant child of the sun, welcome to eternal mindfulness. This isn't just another horoscope. This is a spiritual warning. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you why a woman with negative energy is watching you right now, and what the universe wants you to do about it between May 10th and May 12th. Let me ask you something, Leo. Have you felt it? That strange chill on the back of your neck? The sense that someone's eyes are on you, even when you're alone? Like you're stepping into a room where something unspoken is already there? It's not your imagination. It's real. And it's energetic. A woman who once admired you now resents you. She's watching your every move, not with her words, but with her thoughts, her envy, her energy. Her focus is sharp because your light is getting stronger. And like moths drawn to flame, not all who approach are harmless. But here's what she doesn't know. Your soul came here to shine under pressure. This moment isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to crown you. In astrology, we're entering a rare energetic portal. The Sun, your ruling planet, is forming a cosmic alignment with Pluto, unlocking your personal power and illuminating the shadows. That includes the people in your life who once supported you, and now silently root for your failure. You're being called not just to recognize this, but to rise above it. At Eternal Mindfulness, we don't just read horoscopes. We reveal soul contracts. This message is about spiritual protection and energetic clarity. It's about reclaiming your space, mentally, emotionally, energetically. And Leo, I want you to know, you are not alone in this. There are unseen guides, ancestors, and protectors surrounding you. You might have been feeling them in small ways, through dreams, repeated numbers, strange synchronicities, or even moments of unexplained peace in chaos. Take this moment right now to comment below with the angel number you've been seeing, 111, 444, 999, or maybe a number only you know. That's not just a comment, it's an affirmation. A portal. A yes to the call you've been receiving. And before we go deeper, let me pause. Thank you. Truly. For every like, every comment, every subscribe. Each small action helps this channel bring soul-shifting messages to more people. You are part of something sacred. You being here is not random. It's part of your alignment. It's part of your return to power. So if something deep inside you is saying, I needed to hear this, you're right. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And Leo, believe me when I say this. You'll want to stay with me through the very last second of today's message. Because what the universe is revealing about you, your energy, your enemies, your destiny, is nothing short of breathtaking. Let's begin. She watches you not with eyes, but with intent. And intent, when fueled by envy or unhealed wounds, carries weight. Energy doesn't need a voice to speak, nor a touch to pierce. It moves quietly, through thought, memory, projection. And sometimes, the most subtle gaze can leave the heaviest impression. This woman, who may have once walked beside you, smiled with you, even celebrated your growth, now finds your light too difficult to bear. It's not what you've done, but what you've become, radiant, unbothered, aligned. That's what unsettles her. Not out of malice, necessarily, but because your evolution reminds her of her own stagnation. What's important to remember is this: becoming a target is not a punishment. It's a reflection. You are a mirror, and those who refuse to look within themselves often blame the mirror for what they see. Your brightness illuminates not just your path, but the shadows in others. And not everyone is ready for that. That's why you feel it, the shift, the tension, the invisible resistance. You're not imagining it. You're simply perceiving what exists beyond the physical. In the realm of presence, perception is power. And yet, this moment is not about her. It's about you. You are being watched by more than just her. There are 3 layers of observation unfolding simultaneously. The first is her, the negative gaze that invites you to hold your center with grace. She is not an enemy, but a teacher in disguise. Her presence is here to help you deepen your boundaries, to stop giving away your peace in exchange for validation. The second are the unseen helpers. Not spiritual in the mythical sense, but the quiet protectors of your path, like intuition that becomes louder, timing that feels too perfect to ignore, or signs that echo what your heart already knows. These moments are not random. They are alignment. They arrive to remind you, you're supported, even when no one claps for your clarity. And finally, the most powerful watcher of all, yourself. Or rather, the version of you that already lives in the fullness of truth. This part of you is not watching with judgment, but with quiet encouragement. It's the you that exists beyond fear, beyond people-pleasing, beyond self-doubt. This self doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't shrink when others misunderstand. It stands, calmly, in the knowing that your path is not up for negotiation. The discomfort you're feeling right now? It's not punishment. It's purification. Because in every moment that tests your energy, you are being shaped into someone who can hold more power without being shaken. You are not here to prove you're good, you're here to be whole. And wholeness sometimes requires you to acknowledge the parts of others that are incomplete, and still choose not to absorb them. Energetically, the Devil card in Tarot reflects this dynamic well. It's not just about toxic attachment, it's about recognizing when someone is trying to bind your energy with theirs through guilt, projection, or fear. But even the Devil loses power when you no longer participate in the illusion. When you see the game, you reclaim the board. So now is the time to gently take your light back. Not with anger. Not with walls. But with clarity. Protect your energy by honoring it. There is wisdom in silence. Power in privacy. Not every celebration must be posted. Not every win needs to be explained. The sun never announces that it's shining. It simply rises. Each morning, as you wake, take 5 minutes to breathe into a soft white light. See it as a gentle mist surrounding your body. Let it coat your skin, your thoughts, your heart. This is not superstition. This is intentional awareness. What you protect with love cannot be touched by resentment. What you choose not to carry cannot be weaponized against you. And when you walk into rooms, both physical and virtual, remember this: your presence speaks long before your words. You don't have to defend your light. You just have to decide to keep it on. When your energy begins to rise, so does your visibility, not just to the world, but to yourself. And in moments like these, it's important to understand that being seen is not merely about who's watching you from the outside, but what is being awakened within. You're no longer operating at the same frequency as you were 9 years ago. In fact, every step you've taken since 2016 has been part of an invisible design, each lesson preparing you for this very stage of personal emergence. Some people may circle back now, not because they've changed, but because they feel something in you has. And they're not wrong. Astrologically, Leo is ruled by the sun, the celestial force of illumination, self-expression, and life force. When the sun forms a significant aspect with Pluto, the planet of transformation, a deeper current begins to move beneath the surface. It doesn't ask for your permission. It simply begins its work, dismantling old power structures inside you, shaking loose the identities you clung to for safety, and pulling you toward a version of yourself that is undeniably more powerful, but also more responsible. This energetic combination, Sun and Pluto, activates your solar plexus, the energetic center associated with self-worth and personal authority. It's the place where decisions become declarations, where insecurity dissolves in the heat of clarity. This is why you might notice certain situations returning, but with a different feel. The test isn't about them. It's about you. Will you respond from the version of yourself that needed to prove something? Or from the version of yourself that has nothing left to prove? In the language of archetypes, this is the territory of the chariot. It doesn't just represent movement or success. It represents the mastery of inner forces. The ability to navigate life with both discipline and intuition. But the chariot also reminds us, to move forward, something must be left behind. And not all that is familiar is meant to follow. That includes old relationships, self-perceptions, and even habits of doubt. This is where forgiveness becomes more than a spiritual idea. It becomes an act of energetic liberation. You may not owe anyone closure. But you do owe yourself the freedom of not carrying what no longer belongs in your field. To forgive isn't to excuse what was done. It's to release the energetic thread that ties you to it. And in releasing it, you create space. Not just space around you, but space within you, where light can circulate more freely. There's a practice often taught in silence, to look at the people who misunderstood you and, in your mind, say thank you. Not out of sarcasm, but out of recognition. Because without those experiences, you would not have developed the clarity you now hold. Sometimes, what we call betrayal is actually the beginning of detachment. And detachment, when approached with compassion, is not cold. It is wise. It is the natural response of a soul that has outgrown the need for external approval. So write down the moments that made you proud, not to relive them, but to anchor yourself in who you've become. And then take a breath. A full, honest breath. One that doesn't shrink. One that doesn't carry the weight of who you were trying to be for others. Just breathe into who you already are. Because this version of you, the one reading these words right now, is not broken. They're just remembering. And when you're ready to step forward, don't look back to see who's watching. That's no longer your business. Let your energy speak for itself. Let your choices, your calm, your boundaries be the loudest thing in the room. Not everyone will understand you. But those meant for your next chapter won't need an explanation. They'll feel your truth. And that will be enough. There comes a moment when the question is no longer, will they accept my light, but instead, am I willing to stand in it, regardless of who does? This is the essence of spiritual coronation, not a dramatic event, not the applause of others, but the quiet yet unwavering decision to live from your center. To embody your purpose with humility and conviction. It's a recognition that your brightness no longer needs validation to exist. It simply is. And in that simple truth lies immense power. For Leo, ruled by the sun, this phase feels both natural and confronting. After all, the sun doesn't ask permission to rise. It just rises. It doesn't apologize for shining. It simply shines. Yet in a world that often teaches us to tone ourselves down, to fit in, to wait to be chosen, this kind of radiance can feel dangerous, especially when you know others are watching with judgment or envy. But here's the shift, you are not the victim of their gaze. You are the one who has been chosen, not by them, but by the deeper rhythm of your own growth, to lead, to warm, to illuminate. The Sun and the Emperor cards together reflect a kind of leadership that is both heart-centered and grounded. It's not about commanding others. It's about embodying such integrity that your very presence creates clarity for those around you. It's what happens when confidence is no longer confused with performance, and presence becomes more potent than explanation. But this kind of energy isn't developed overnight. It's carved by years of questioning your worth, doubting your voice, shrinking in rooms where you should have expanded. And now, having walked through those years, you're being asked to sit on a throne that has always waited for you, not made of gold, but of self-respect. True leadership begins the moment you stop seeking applause and start offering warmth. That could be as simple as sharing your knowledge freely, guiding someone who feels lost, or offering support where you once wished you had received it. You don't need a stage to do this. You don't need permission. Just the willingness to be who you are, out loud. There's a concept often passed down in silence, that when you finally return to yourself, fully and without compromise, you don't need to announce it. People will feel it. And that feeling, that alignment, becomes your most magnetic quality. The energy of someone who is no longer pretending is deeply attractive, not because it shouts, but because it resonates. It's clean. It's clear. It allows others to remember who they are, too. That's why this isn't just about you. When you step into your inner light, you give unspoken permission for others to do the same. That is leadership without force. That is influence without control. And that is how the coronation becomes collective, because when one light stands tall, it reminds the others that they can rise, too. So ask yourself gently, where am I still dimming to protect others from their discomfort? Where am I holding back a truth that could free me, and maybe someone else? Your light was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to guide. And the moment you stop filtering it through fear is the moment you begin to live not just for yourself, but for something larger, something quietly noble. And perhaps that's what being crowned truly means. Not being celebrated, but being ready. Ready to give, to walk, to act from the center of your being without doubt, without delay, and without the need for recognition. Just the choice to be, fully. And to let others feel the warmth of who you've become. As your light becomes more consistent, more grounded, more unapologetically present, It's not unusual for others to misread you. They may mistake your clarity for pride, your calm for coldness, or your honesty for confrontation. And while their reactions may sting, they are not truly about you. They are simply reflections, echoes of their own discomfort in the presence of something unfiltered. When you stop shrinking to fit the mold others find familiar, you no longer match the version of you they've kept in their minds. And that mismatch can feel threatening to those who aren't ready to evolve themselves. This is a delicate phase in any growth cycle. It's the part where your internal progress meets external resistance, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something real. And realness, while liberating, can feel unsettling to those still clinging to pretense. It's important to recognize that the darkness you're noticing around you, the gossip, the projection, the passive-aggressive tones, is not new. It's simply more visible now because your awareness has expanded. You're not drawing negativity in. You're just not ignoring it anymore. The Moon card in Tarot speaks beautifully to this experience. It's the energy of illusion, of subconscious projections rising to the surface. But it's also the reminder that not everything needs an immediate response. When something is unclear, when emotions are running high, the wisest thing you can do is wait. Clarity is often born in stillness, not reaction. You don't need to defend your light. You just need to keep it steady. Let time reveal what words cannot. One of the most compassionate acts you can offer yourself during this time is the decision to disengage. Not out of bitterness. Not out of revenge. But out of respect for your own peace. When someone continues to pull at your energy with judgment or competition, the most healing thing you can do is stop offering your attention. Distance, in this case, is not avoidance. It's discernment. It's saying, I no longer wish to participate in cycles that drain me. Choosing peace isn't passive, it's powerful. There's a simple truth that often gets overlooked. Your light doesn't harm anyone. It may disrupt. It may challenge. It may bring discomfort. But that's only because it exposes what has long been hidden. When you live authentically, you naturally reflect to others the places where they are still performing. And while that can make you a target for their unspoken frustration, it can also become the very nudge they need to grow, if they're willing. Instead of reacting, choose reflection. Not of them, but of you. Write down what's been coming up emotionally. What comments have stung? What assumptions have been made about you that feel unfair? Then go deeper. What part of you still wonders if they might be right? This is the shadow work that empowers your light to become even more rooted. You're not here to convince anyone. You're here to live honestly. And sometimes, that means letting go of the need to be understood. Repeat to yourself, as often as needed, my light doesn't hurt anyone. It simply reveals what they haven't yet healed. And in that, you reclaim your energy. You stop internalizing what doesn't belong to you. You stop shrinking to protect others from their own discomfort. And you begin to understand that your role is not to be palatable, it's to be real. So take a breath. Let silence do the talking. Let your presence speak louder than defense. And trust that those who are meant to meet you at this new frequency will recognize you, not by what you say, but by how deeply you no longer need to explain. When your energy becomes clean and clear, the world begins to respond. Not in chaotic, random waves, but in patterns, subtle, yet precise. What you radiate is what you begin to attract. This isn't just a spiritual philosophy, it's observable in the quiet ways life starts aligning when you shift from reacting to consciously responding. And Leo, ruled by the sun, your field of influence is especially magnetic. You don't just show up, you imprint. Your presence leaves a mark, not because you're trying, but because you're honest. And when that honesty begins to harmonize with purpose, you naturally call in the experiences, people, and abundance that resonate with it. From May 10th to 12th, the alignment of energy around you offers a rare window of manifestation. But not the kind that comes from forced action or chasing. This is attraction in its truest form, effortless, because it's intentional. You might notice unexpected invitations, an offer, a reconnection, a chance that seems to appear from nowhere. But the question isn't whether these things are showing up. The deeper question is, are they matching the person you've become? Because the universe doesn't just send gifts. It also sends tests disguised as gifts. This is why self-awareness becomes your compass. When something presents itself, pause. Ask yourself not just, do I want this, but also, does this align with my values, or does it echo a pattern I've already outgrown? Sometimes, the past returns not to be repeated, but to see if you'll choose differently. This isn't about being suspicious, it's about being centered. Knowing that your light deserves to be met with clarity, not confusion. And that true opportunity never asks you to dim who you are in order to belong. Color and number vibrations are subtle but powerful tools to help ground you in this frequency. Gold and red, these aren't just bold choices, they're expressions of vitality, confidence, and life force. Wearing or surrounding yourself with these tones can help reinforce the fire of discernment, especially when your energy is expanding. As for numbers, pay attention to those that repeat around you. The appearance of 888 often indicates that financial flow is shifting, either a release of old scarcity or the arrival of new abundance. The number 111 tends to show up when a cycle is opening, inviting you to align your intentions with action. And 13, often misunderstood, carries a vibration of deep inner transformation, the kind that clears space for lasting change. Practical rituals help translate these abstract currents into lived reality. Begin each morning by writing down 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. Not as a routine, but as a declaration. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect, it's about anchoring your awareness to what's already working, already here, already nourishing you. From that state, decisions become clearer. You're less likely to grasp, more likely to choose. Re-establish your boundaries, not to push others away, but to honor the space your energy needs to grow. Online, that might mean muting voices that drain your focus or resetting how you share. Offline, it may look like reevaluating which conversations you continue to participate in and which ones you now silently bow out of. Remember, boundaries are not walls. They're containers. And without a strong container, even the most beautiful energy leaks. So ask yourself now, not what do you want, but what are you ready to receive? Because you don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you are willing to hold with care, consistency, and confidence. The life that's coming toward you isn't asking you to become someone else to claim it. It's asking you to become more fully yourself. That is the core of true manifestation, not magic, but alignment. Not chasing, but choosing. And not perfection, but presence. If you've made it to this moment, Leo, then something within you already knows. You were never truly being watched, you were being called. Every challenge you faced, every strange silence, every look that didn't make sense until now, they were all part of this sacred unfolding. You are not here to fear the gaze of those who misunderstand your growth. You are here to remember that only those who carry true power ever become mirrors for others. And yes, sometimes that reflection stirs discomfort in people who are still hiding from their own light. But the truth is, your light is not a threat. It's a reminder. A signal. A frequency that only those ready for truth can stand beside. You were never meant to ask for permission to shine. The time for dimming your essence is over. This moment is not about fighting shadows, it's about anchoring so deeply into your own brilliance that shadows can no longer attach to you. You don't need to look over your shoulder to see who's watching. You only need to look within and ask, am I finally ready to show up as who I really am? So take a breath, and notice what rises. What would it look like if you stopped explaining your joy? What would it feel like if you let go of the guilt for wanting more? How much more peaceful would your life be if you simply stopped apologizing for your clarity? You've spent enough time shaping yourself to fit the limitations of others. But now, you are being invited to shape your life around your truth, not around their expectations. That is what it means to be chosen. Not by the world. Not even by the universe. But by the version of yourself who has waited patiently for you to stop playing small. Let this be the moment where something inside you softens, because you finally realize you don't need to chase alignment. You only need to allow it. And maybe, just maybe, this message reached you not because you were lost, but because you were finally ready to be found. Not by someone else, but by yourself. So Leo, will you own that? Will you finally wear the crown not as an ornament, but as a quiet promise to never abandon your own light again? Will you lead, not by controlling, not by proving, but simply by being the clearest version of you? If any part of this message resonated, let it be felt. Comment the angel number you've been seeing. Maybe it's 111, 444, 888, or maybe it's something only you understand. That number is not random. It's your signal. Your confirmation. And if someone you know has been struggling in silence, share this video with them. Be the reason they remember who they are. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel, because here at Eternal Mindfulness, we're not just reading stars. We're remembering souls. Yours is one of them. And the journey ahead? It's only just begun. So go forward. Not to prove, but to embody. Not to explain, but to express. Not to survive, but to shine. The world is already watching, Leo. The question is, are you finally ready to be seen?